And by all means, chat with your neighbors, get help, talk about it. What are the 4 things that stop the sin cycle?
Because that is no longer there. It's Romans 6:4. We have been united together. The body is sin so that we should no longer be slaves of sin. Romans 6 re-emphasizes, I think it's 4.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a baptism into death. Then Christ was raised. That's true. Your old self dies. Christ is raised. Christ rose again. All your negative things. You start pulling them to God. So it's like one going away together. It's coming. And come to saying, sorry here, rise from the dead. Glory to the Father. So all these changes are happening. So you have to acknowledge why they're happening. So you give glory to the Father. That's 3. And then, even so, you should realize it's not just one thing you do one day. Now here I am crying, because you have come from a few days, you should have now the 5th thing also. So, oh, I'm just going to continue to walk in it. That's what 17. I think. That's it. I had to go and change my because I think 5 and 6 kind of re-emphasize it.
You have all 11 verses.
Here, let me just share a few things to help us save a little time. 2 things. One, most all these 11 verses are saying very similar things. So you can almost go to any verse and pick out many of them. Paul, for better or for worse, repeats. He does that intending to help, but sometimes it makes it more of a challenge. And for 2, The question we're dealing with now is, how do we stop doing bad things? How do we stop sinning? The question isn't, how do I start doing good stuff? So if you're talking about life, righteousness, walking, living, good stuff, if you've got a pencil, erase it. Because we're not talking about how to do good stuff. We're talking about how to stop bad stuff. It's good to do good stuff, but that's a different question. That's a different step. Right now we're just looking at how you stop bad stuff. And also remind us, Janie, what's the main thing that happens in the courtyard? Death. Death. So if you're having anything that resembles any type of life, you know you're off in the wilderness. Come back to the light. Depending how you mean that could be useful, could be dangerous.
What's your understanding of that? It's a good term. What's your understanding? What that means in other words? So in other words, what are you doing that stops the sin? Or not necessarily what's happening that stops it? What verse are you in, or verse 4? Okay, yeah, so you got most of your 4 right there. And so, thinking of this aspect of that circle, what emphasis are you pulling out?
Well, the thing that starts off the sin is if being baptized in Jesus and trying to do what Jesus would do. And then you go to do something that
I apologize, I haven't met you yet. My name is Mark. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Lucy.
Yeah, Lucy, nice to meet you. Do you know her?
I just met her this morning. I've been
Okay.
visiting the local churches, and the local church I visited this morning.
Oh, okay, I didn't know if you guys knew each other, but I won't put that on you then.
we
if you
met
don't
this
know her.
morning in Valley View, and then I invited her.
And they told me that I live really close to it. They said there wasn't a church over here. Let me go visit.
So I
I was gonna ask her the question, but I won't yet. I want to look for the background.
I've been in Adventist for a while, so it's okay.
Where would you put the emphasis of all that stuff? You were mentioning him, like you're mentioning you. I'll get baptized, I'll follow him, I'll do what I'm supposed to do.
So,
That has a lot to do with you.
yeah, so, I just want to please him, so.
But like the illustration of the person I said, they want to please them too. People that try and stop sin, they want to stop. They can't because they can't. Meaning the answer was here. The only thing that's inconsistent and not successful would be here. So you would not want this in the equation.
So I
According to
should-
Paul.
Yes, I should.
According to Paul. If you're putting yourself in there, that's not
Because
Paul.
let's face it, the flesh is weak. The flesh is where sin in them. So it is fighting by the death of the flesh, by stopping all things and allowing God to work.
The question is, how do you get that down? That's those 4 elements.
Yeah.
Sorry, just to clarify, it's 4 things that stop sin, not 4 things we do to stop sin, right?
Correct.
Okay.
4 things that stop sin.
That stops sin.
I mean, we're a part of the process because I'm the one that has to go through it.
Yes.
But it's a fine line between what I'm doing and what
Freedom.
I'm not,
Yeah.
without giving away the answers.
Yeah.
I won't walk through it and map through it here, but how many think they've got at least 2 of the answers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are confident, all right? More bashful. All right, let's try it together. Let's see here who had a hand. Barb, let's get, now, we have to exercise great discretion, so just give us 1 verse and only one of them, okay? So we can have others have an opportunity too. So read your verse and give us one of them, Barb.
Okay, verse 4.
Okay.
It says, therefore we are buried with him by baptism into death, that like as Christ was raised up from the dead by the glory of the Father, even so we also should walk in newness of life.
Okay.
So we walk in newness of life.
Okay. Now, Janie, remind us again, we're in the courtyard. What happens in the courtyard?
Death.
Death. How many times have we ever had a pet die, go bury it, and have that pet walk 2 months later and go play fetch? Never. Because when the dead puppy, little muffin, dies, you can't go back 2 months later, take off the dirt, get it out of the box, and go throw the keys and say fetch, because the dog is dead. So we wouldn't be expecting the dog to walk. And so that would be a challenge here as well. Unless we're confused on what happens when a person dies. It's a good verse though. Anybody else? Let's see here. Leslie?
Sure. How about 6?
Okay, 6 is another fine one. 4 was a good one too. We might come back because it's a really good verse. They're all good verses. All right, verse 6, let's hear your translation.
For we know that our old self was crucified with him so that the body ruled by sin might be done away with, that we should no longer be slaves to sin.
Okay. And so just one of these, what would be your contribution?
That he died for our sins. No, our contribution?
No, your thought. I like the verse. Paul did fine. I'm just curious what your insight is on it.
Well, he died for our sins.
Okay. So Jesus died. Okay. It's always interesting to me when I teach this seminar. Sometimes that's the last thing that actually comes out is Jesus. And he actually needs to be the center of it.
So you put it under 2?